Ever feel like you're just dragging even after you hit snooze, like a couple of times?
Yeah, know that feeling.
You're not alone, turns out. Did you know 2/3 of adults in developed countries are actually sleep deprived? Crazy, right?
Wow, that many.
It is, but here's the thing. For a long time, even scientists were puzzled about why we sleep. You would think, like, with something so universal, we'd know, right?
Yeah, you'd think so, for sure.
So that's exactly what we're diving into today, this whole hidden world of sleep. And we'll be using Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. Really fascinating stuff.
Oh, interesting. I've heard of that book.
Yeah, it's really good. And what's so interesting, one of the first things he talks about is that sleep actually makes us super vulnerable. I mean, we're basically offline for hours, can't react quickly if something happens.
Right.
Like, from an evolutionary perspective, that's not great, right?
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big risk.
Exactly. So what's the advantage? That's what's so interesting.
Yeah, what is it that makes it worth that risk?
So Walker really dives deep into all the latest research, and turns out sleep isn't just about resting our bodies. It's like a nightly tune-up for our brains.
Interesting.
It's powerful, like it defends against disease.
Okay, so it's more than just like recharging the batteries kind of thing.
Way more. It's like essential.
Interesting.
And when we don't sleep enough, like really shortchange ourselves consistently,
Yeah.
we increase our risk for so many health problems.
Like what kinds of problems?
We're talking like the big ones, heart disease, diabetes, even Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's not just physical health either. Sleep deprivation really messes with our minds too. Increases the risk of anxiety, depression, all that.
Really? So lack of sleep can affect your mental health that much?
Absolutely, yeah. It all ties together. And you know what's scary? Drowsy driving.
Right, yeah, of
It's
course.
a big deal. Walker actually says in his book, it causes more accidents than alcohol and drugs combined.
Seriously. Wow. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, you just think about it, like a few seconds of microsleep behind the wheel, and that's it. Your reaction time is gone.
That's terrifying.
It is, and it really hits home. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's crucial for us and everyone around us.
Totally. So how does sleep actually do all this? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So there are two big players. Your internal clock, it's called the circadian rhythm, and then this chemical called adenosine.
Okay, I've heard of circadian rhythm, but adenosine, what's that?
Think of it like this. It's like a sleep pressure gauge in your brain.
Okay,
The longer you're awake, adenosine builds up, the sleepier you feel.
makes sense.
Makes sense.
So that afternoon slump, that's adenosine telling me to take a nap.
Yeah, basically it's like a little reminder.
Huh.
But now the circadian rhythm, I remember in the book, there's this story about a scientist who basically stopped time for a plant. Have you heard about this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's really interesting. It was this guy, Jean-Jacques Dortus de Maillat, and his experiment, like back in 1729, was revolutionary. He was looking at this Mimosa pudica plant. It's kind of cool. It opens its leaves during the day and then closes them at night. So he was wondering, what if he kept it in the dark, all the time? Would the leaves still open and close on schedule?
So, like, would it know what time it was, even without the sun?
Exactly. And guess what?
I'm guessing they did.
They did. Even without the sun, that little plant, it stuck to its rhythm.
Wow, so it had like a clock inside it.
Exactly. Some kind of internal clock.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and we humans, we have an internal clock too, just like that plant. It's located in this tiny part of our brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's sensitive to light and helps regulate everything, hormone release, body temperature, all in sync with the 24-hour cycle.
So is that why sometimes, even if you sleep in a dark room, you still wake up around the same time?
Exactly, yeah. So our circadian rhythm, strongest in the morning, adenosine levels are low after a good night's sleep. That's why we feel most alert. But then, as the day goes on, adenosine builds up and the circadian rhythm naturally dips.
And then bam, afternoon slump.
Exactly. And that's where sleep comes in. It's like the hero of the day. During sleep, your brain gets rid of all that built-up adenosine.
Like a detox.
Yeah, exactly, like a nightly detox. By morning, you're refreshed and alert, all thanks to the combo of your reset circadian rhythm and the low adenosine levels.
Wow. So it's not just about how much sleep we get, but also what happens during sleep that matters?
Exactly. It's like what's going on in those hours of shut-eye.
So tell me more about that. What happens when we sleep? Like the different stages. I've heard of NREM and REM, but I don't really know what that means.
Okay, yeah. So there are two main types. NRM, it stands for non-rapid eye movement.
Okay.
And then there's REM, or rapid eye movement. Think of NRM as a deep dive into relaxation.
Deep dive into relaxation. I like that.
Yeah, during this stage, your brainwaves, they slow down dramatically, like almost like a rhythmic chant.
Really? Wow.
Walker actually called it cerebral meditation.
Cerebral meditation.
I
Okay.
kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So what's happening in the brain during this cerebral meditation?
Well, basically, your brain is shifting into low power mode, breathing slows, heart rate drops, muscles totally relax. It's the stage where your body really repairs and rejuvenates itself.
Ah, so that's when the real healing happens.
Yeah, and isn't this also when the magic of memory consolidation happens? The book described deep NREM sleep as a courier service for memories.
Oh yeah, right. I remember that part.
It's amazing. During deep NREM sleep, your brain's working like crazy to transfer memories from the hippocampus, which is like your short-term memory storage, to the cortex for long-term storage. Like it's taking all the important notes from the day and filing them away neatly in your brain's filing cabinet.
So without enough deep NREM sleep, we're basically losing out on memories and learning.
Yeah, pretty much. But now what about REM sleep? That's where most of our dreaming happens, right?
Right, yeah. So is that totally different from NREM?
Totally. Unlike the calm of REM sleep is when things get, well, a little more interesting. Your brain activity actually increases during REM sleep. It resembles the patterns we see when we're awake.
So it's like your brain is putting on a show while you sleep.
Exactly. Walker actually calls REM sleep a nighttime theater for creativity.
Haha, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, during REM sleep, your brain is busy making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas and experiences, and this leads to those bizarre, often illogical dreams.
Ah, so that's why dreams can be so weird.
Exactly. So basically, we've got NREM sleep working on memories and REM sleep sparking creativity, like a dynamic duo working behind the scenes.
A dynamic duo. I love that. So we've got these two types of sleep working together to keep our brains functioning at their best.
Precisely. And, as we'll see in the next part of our deep dive, when we don't get enough of these crucial stages of sleep, the consequences can be, well, pretty serious. Welcome back to our deep dive into why we sleep. It's amazing, right? All those things happening in our brains while we're supposedly out for the night.
It really is. It makes you wonder what happens when we mess with those processes, though. Like, what are the real consequences of not getting enough sleep?
Yeah, are we just like tired and grumpy, or is there more to it?
Oh, there's way more to it. It's not just about feeling groggy and needing an extra cup of coffee. Sleep deprivation, it's like a ripple effect. It impacts everything, like from how our brain works to our emotions, even our physical health.
It's like we're slowly sabotaging ourselves bit by bit.
And it's a good way to put it.
So let's start with the brain. We know sleep is crucial for memory and learning, but what happens like deeper down when we're sleep deprived? Is it more than just forgetting where you put your keys? Or is there something more going on?
It's definitely more than misplaced keys. It's like sleep deprivation. It throws a wrench in the whole machinery of memory consolidation. Remember that courier service we talked about? The one that moves memories from short-term to long-term storage during deep NRM? Well, it gets disrupted. Those memory, it's like they get lost in transit.
So it's not just forgetting things. It's like our brain can't even learn and remember properly in the first place.
Exactly. And there's this concept, it's called baseline resetting. Walker talks about it in the book. Basically, sleep-deprived people, they get so used to functioning at a lower level, they don't even realize how much their thinking has declined.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, it's like our brains are slowly dimming the lights, and we're just getting used to the darkness.
That's kind of scary.
It is. It's a dangerous cycle, not just for, getting things done, but for safety too. Think about making important decisions or driving. When your brain's running on fumes, the risk of messing up having an accident, it skyrockets.
So it's not just our thinking, our emotions are affected too, right? When we're sleep deprived.
Absolutely. One of the most interesting things that sleep research has found is the link between sleep loss and emotional dysregulation. Basically, when you're sleep deprived, your amygdala, that's the part of the brain that handles emotions, it goes into overdrive, like an alarm bell that won't stop.
So we're more likely to overreact, get anxious, maybe snap at people when we haven't slept enough.
Yeah, exactly. And to make things worse, the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain that keeps those impulses in check. It's basically asleep at the wheel when we're tired. So it's a double whammy. You're more emotional and less able to control it.
There was that study, right, where they showed sleep-deprived people emotional images while they were in an MRI machine.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. The results were pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's like their brains were ready to, explode.
Pretty much. The scans showed way more activity in the amygdala in the sleep-deprived group and less activity in the prefrontal cortex. Like they were set up for an emotional hijacking.
And that was just after one night of not enough sleep. It makes you wonder, what happens long-term when we constantly skimp on sleep?
It's a scary thought, for sure. It's not just mental and emotional health either. Sleep deprivation messes with our physical health, too. increasing the risk of all sorts of diseases.
Heart disease, diabetes, obesity, even cancer. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's like sleep deprivation is a one-way ticket to trouble.
So why? What's going on in our bodies?
Well, a lot of it has to do with our sympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for that fight or flight response. When we're chronically sleep deprived, this system is constantly in overdrive, pumping out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline.
So it's like our bodies are always on high alert, even when there's no real danger.
Right.
I remember reading that even one night of sleep restriction can make your heart rate and blood pressure spike.
Yeah, it's true. And over time, all that stress really takes a toll on the cardiovascular system, increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, and all sorts of problems.
And then there's the connection with diabetes. It turns out that not getting enough sleep can mess up blood sugar control to the point where you're basically pre-diabetic.
It's wild, right? Sleep deprivation basically stops our bodies from processing glucose properly, leading to insulin resistance and a bunch of other metabolic issues.
And then there's the link with cancer. That's probably the scariest consequence of all.
The research is still coming in, but the evidence is definitely building. It looks like chronic sleep loss can weaken the immune system, making us more vulnerable to developing cancer cells.
Walker actually describes sleep as like an overnight reboot for the immune system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when we don't sleep enough, those defenses are down and we're just more susceptible to illness.
It's like we're leaving the door open for all sorts of problems.
Right, exactly. So we've talked about the brain, emotions, physical health, but there's another area that Walker explores, the connection between sleep and our genes. It's kind of wild. It turns out that chronic sleep loss can actually damage our DNA.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a newer area of research, but it's pretty concerning. Studies have shown that not getting enough sleep can lead to more DNA damage and fewer of the mechanisms that repair DNA. It's like sleep deprivation is speeding up the aging process at a cellular level.
So it's not just about feeling tired. It's like we're putting ourselves at risk for some serious long-term problems.
Exactly. It's definitely a wake-up call. We need to treat sleep like it's essential, which it is.
Well said. And speaking of wake-up calls, what about sleep disorders? They affect so many people.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Things like insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea.
Right.
They can really mess up our sleep in our lives. I'm really curious about insomnia. It's usually seen as a problem with falling asleep or staying asleep, but the book goes deeper, suggesting it's often more about like an overactive mind, racing thoughts and worries that prevent us from relaxing into sleep.
That makes sense. It's not just that you can't sleep. It's a symptom of something else, like stress or anxiety.
Right, like our brains are stuck in overdrive even though we're exhausted. And then there's narcolepsy, which is a neurological disorder that completely throws off the sleep-wake cycle.
It's really tough. People with narcolepsy, they experience excessive daytime sleepiness and can even fall asleep without meaning to, sometimes at really bad times.
And the book also talks about sleep paralysis. Ever heard of that?
Yeah, I think so.
It can be terrifying. Imagine waking up but being totally unable to move or speak. I can see why people connect it to paranormal stuff.
It's definitely unsettling. Sleep paralysis usually happens when you're transitioning between sleep and wakefulness. And your brain's still in REM sleep, but your body's starting to wake up. That disconnect creates that feeling of being trapped.
And there are often hallucinations that go with it, right? Like feeling a presence in the room or pressure on your chest.
Yeah, that can definitely add to the scariness. It's like a reminder that our brains can create some really vivid experiences, even when we're not fully conscious.
But as scary as it can be, it's important to remember that sleep paralysis is actually pretty common and usually harmless.
Exactly, just a temporary glitch, and most people only experience it a handful of times.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from how sleep works to what happens when we don't get enough, and even some of the more complex stuff like sleep disorders. It's clear that sleep is way more than just resting. It's active, it's essential, and it affects our lives in huge ways that we're only starting to understand.
I think that's a great summary.
But what about solutions? Like, what can we actually do to improve our sleep and make the most of it?
That's a great question, and a perfect lead into the last part of our deep dive. We'll be looking at practical strategies for better sleep hygiene, and also diving into the world of dreams, all the ways they shape our emotions, our creativity, even our well-being.
Awesome, I'm looking forward to it. Welcome back, sleep enthusiasts. I hope you're ready for the last part of our deep dive into why we sleep. We've covered a lot, but there's one more big piece of the puzzle we need to explore.
Dreams. It's a topic that's always captured our imaginations, right?
Oh, absolutely, those nighttime adventures. For centuries, they were seen as mysterious, only understood by, like, mystics or psychoanalysts.
Right.
But with neuroscience, we're finally starting to, like, unlock the secrets of these nocturnal journeys.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating what we're finding out. For so long, dreams were just seen as, random images, bizarre stories with no real meaning.
Right, just those weird things our brains cook up when we're asleep.
But it turns out there's so much more than that. Dreams are crucial for processing emotions, consolidating memories, even sparking creativity.
It's amazing our brains are working even when we're supposedly out for the night.
Exactly. And the book, Why Do We Sleep? It really dives into the science behind dreams, so the insights are honestly mind-blowing.
Yeah, I was amazed by some of the things I learned. Like, did you know our brains are super active during REM sleep, where most dreams happen?
Oh, for sure. It's not just active. Certain areas are even more active during REM sleep than when we're awake, like the visual cortex and the amygdala, which processes emotions. It's like our brains are replaying the day, but with a twist, reinterpreting events, creating this whole internal world where we can work through things.
It makes sense then why dream can feel so real and so emotional. It's like we're not just watching, we're actually in the dream, experiencing it.
Exactly. Walker even calls REM sleep an overnight therapy session. Like our brains are working through challenges, helping us regulate our mode, build resilience.
So maybe even those strange, sometimes scary dreams are actually our brains trying to help us make sense of things so we wake up feeling better.
It's a cool idea, and it's backed up by research. People who don't get enough REM sleep, they often have a harder time dealing with their emotions, more prone to anxiety and depression.
So we really need that dream time to process our emotions, to make sense of things and our place in the world.
Totally.
But dreams, it's not just about emotions, right? They also play a role in memory and learning.
Absolutely. There's this amazing connection between sleep, dreams, and how our memories work. Remember how we talked about deep NREM sleep being essential for moving memories from short-term to long-term storage?
Yeah, like the filing cabinet.
Right. Well, REM sleep seems to help strengthen those memories, integrate them into our experiences.
There was that study in the book where people learned something new before going to sleep. The ones who got a good night's sleep, especially with lots of REM sleep, they did way better the next day.
Oh, yeah, right. It's like our brains are practicing while we sleep, consolidating those skills.
So learning doesn't end when we close our eyes. Maybe sleep is the most important part.
It might just be.
And then, of course, there's the creativity boost that dreams can give. We talked about Dmitry Mendeleev creating the periodic table because of a dream, but there are tons of other examples throughout history of people getting creative breakthroughs from their dreams.
Oh, absolutely. Artists, musicians, scientists, inventors, they've all said their best ideas came from dreams.
It makes you wonder, what if we all prioritized sleep and tapped into that well of dream-inspired creativity? What would we achieve?
It's a great question. And Walker's description of REM sleep as a nighttime theater for creativity, it really nails it. During REM sleep, our brains can make these unexpected connections, explore new ideas, without the limitations of logic and reason.
Like a mental playground where anything is possible.
Exactly.
And the book even goes into lucid dreaming, where you're aware you're dreaming and can even control it.
That's wild. Imagine the possibilities.
It's like a superpower. But before we get too excited about controlling our dreams, we have to talk about nightmares. Why would our brains create those terrifying experiences? What purpose could they possibly serve?
That's a question that's stumped people for a long time. There's no definite answer, but one theory is that they're actually preparing us for danger. Like our brains are running simulations of scary situations so we can practice how to react.
So even nightmares, as awful as they can be, might be helping us survive by building coping skills and resilience.
Makes sense. It's all part of this intricate world of sleep and dreams. A hidden world that shapes our emotions, our creativity, our memories, even our health.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into why we sleep, what are some key takeaways you hope people will remember?
Well, first and foremost, sleep is not optional. It's essential. As vital as food, water, and air.
And it's not just how much, but how well we sleep. We need both deep NREM and REM sleep, that balance for our brains and bodies to function properly.
Absolutely.
And finally, I hope people come away with a sense of wonder about sleep and dreams. It's not just about resting, it's an active process, shaping us in ways we're only just starting to understand.
It really is.
So to everyone listening, make sleep a priority. It's a gift to yourself. Explore the world of dreams. Who knows, maybe you'll even unlock that lucid dreaming superpower.
Sweet dreams, everyone.
Until next time, sleep well.